Welcome to our exhibition. We are Group 7 and the topic we are exhibiting is Topic 1, Combating Climate Change. First, let's talk about the principle of climate change. The Earth is heated by the sun's radiation, as the sun provides no more other products than sunlight and warmth. The greenhouse effect is a natural process. Greenhouse gases allow solar radiation enter the Earth as short-wave radiation, but reflects long-wave radiation emitted from the Earth back to the planet. This helps maintain a suitable temperature for living things. However, due to urban and industrial activities, excess GHGs are released, resulting in greater absorption of heat. Thus, the Earth becomes warmer and causes climate change. Next, we will be talking about the causes of climate change. Most vehicles are powered by fossil fuels. Therefore, transportation, mainly cars, ships, and planes, is one of the largest contributors of production of greenhouse gases, namely carbon dioxide. In particular, the road traffic vehicles emit a substantial amount of CO2 by burning gasoline through combustion. Nevertheless, we often overlook that aviation and shipping are also considerable contributors of carbon emissions. Transportation contributes about 25% of the total global energy-related carbon dioxide emissions. Vehicles emit black, thick smoke that not only pollutes the air, but also increases health risk and worsens general visibility. Apart from transportation, we should also be aware of the release of carbon dioxide, methane, and among other greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, resulting from various food production processes, including cows and sheep digestion discharge. Fertilizers are used in crop cultivation, manure application, and energy consumption in running farm machinery. Deforestation is also a major problem. When we cut down trees, that means there's one tree fewer to help us absorb excess carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Continuous deforestation can severely damage the CO2 emission absorption balance in the long run. Other than obtaining timber, deforestation may also aim at the clearing of land for urban development. The destruction of the CO2 ecocycle can easily lead to rising global temperature or even chasm on the Earth's surface. Globally, the energy consumption of residential and commercial buildings has as well become a significant contributor to greenhouse gas emissions. Currently, these buildings consume over half of all electricity worldwide. The use of fossil fuels for various purposes in these buildings leads to a release of profound amounts of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. The growing demand for heating and cooling has been skyrocketing as global temperature rises. The need for air conditioning has become more prevalent, leading to a surge in air conditioner ownership. This trend, coupled with increasing electricity consumption for lighting, appliances, air conditioners, and electronic devices, has further exacerbated the emissions from buildings. Our reliance on coal, oil, and natural gas for heating and cooling not only contributes to greenhouse gas emissions but also perpetuates the use of non-renewable energy sources. The dependence on these fossil fuels poses challenges for mitigating climate change and impeding to a sustainable energy future. Now that we analyze how climate change has resulted, let's discuss about some of the effects resulting from climate change. The first one, of course, is global warming. Did you know that the Earth was only about 13.5 degrees Celsius in the 19th century, but the temperature has just increased by 1.5 degrees Celsius? The Paris Agreement was signed in 2016 to set a goal for the sustainable future. The agreement aimed for a rise of air temperature not to exceed 1.5 degrees Celsius at the upper limit. However, we are on track to have a 4.4 degrees Celsius temperature rise by the end of the century. A rise in global temperature leads to drought and insect outbreaks. Pests threaten the food supply as some insects like locusts are very deadly, flying in swarms and eating up all the crops. Farmers will also lose money once there is a drought, as the soil is not fertile and they cannot grow crops. It may take years before a piece of farmland becomes normal again. Once the soil loses its nutrients, the farmland is likely to go uncultivable forever, unless protective measures such as afforestation is carried out. Farmers who already do not gain a lot of money are further affected by something that they have minimized, releasing greenhouse gases. Additionally, wildfires become a lot more threatening as the higher temperature indirectly causes the obstacle of difficulty in extinguishing all the wildfires. The fire can easily spread and damage vegetation. Climate change enlarges the disparity between the rich and the poor too. Flooding can destroy homes and the properties inside and near the coastline. Some houses may be pulled apart by the strong current pulling upwards of storm surges due to typhoons. They may float on water, like this, making the firemen's job more difficult to save people. Over the past decade, weather-related events displaced an estimated 23.1 million people on average each year, leaving many more vulnerable to poverty. Rich people can afford disaster-proof buildings or purchase insurance to prevent severe loss of money, so they will not be affected severely. This leads to the saying of the rich getting richer, the poor getting poorer. Humans are not the only ones to be affected. Animals like polar bears, bees, and fish also suffer from climate change. For polar bears, the rising temperature deprives of their habitat by melting ice. Since polar bears live on the ice, their habitats shrink severely. With less ice, polar bears have to swim for a longer time to find a new habitat. For fish, the increase in sea level and temperature makes the fish lose their habitat and may eventually become extinct. This will lead to a mass extinction of species. Afterwards, we are going to introduce some of the ways to resolve the climate change. Firstly, governments worldwide have imposed carbon tax to promote carbon reduction. Carbon taxes require people and businesses to pay for the damage by emitting the amount of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, which leads to an increase in temperature. It creates a financial incentive for people and businesses to pollute less and save money. For example, Sweden has successfully lowered its greenhouse gas emissions by 27% after implementing carbon tax in 1991. And although critics believe the tax will stunt the economy, Sweden's gross domestic product has since doubled. Recently, Canada also adopted the carbon tax in 2019. The people who use less fuel pay less tax, but still gets the same rebate as some people who burn a lot of fuel, leaving them financially ahead by comparison. Another effective scheme is cap and trade. In a cap and trade system, the government sets an emissions cap for industry buildings and issues a quantity of emission allowances consistent with that cap. Emitters must hold allowances for every ton of greenhouse gas they emit. Companies may buy and sell allowances, and this market establishes an emission price. If a company needs to emit more greenhouse gases, they have to buy more permits from other countries, so companies indirectly pay for the pollution. However, since the amounts of permits are fixed, the emissions of greenhouse gases of a country does not exceed the limit, which is arguably better than carbon taxes. Currently, China is implementing cap and trade system, and it seems to be very successful as the greenhouse gas emissions decreased by 4% from 2020 to 2022, which is around the total carbon footprint of Australia. The use of renewable energy also plays an important role in carbon reduction. For instance, 2/3 of the states in the US have implemented clean energy standards to generate a certain percentage of their electricity from low-emission energy sources such as solar or wind power. Each state's standard varies in how it defines clean energy, what percentage of low-emission energy it requires or recommends, and whether the standard is mandatory or voluntary, so it may not be as effective as the first two methods mentioned. The green energy that Hong Kong's NTR uses allows more than 10,000 families of 3 to supply for an entire year of the electricity, so it is still quite effective. Lastly, we're going to propose some conservation methods that could be adopted. The first way is to save paper. Now that it may be a very basic way of a concentration effort, but paper is very widely used. Saving paper is very important because it reduces logging. Logging is a process when workers cut down trees to get wood. Yeah, you can call that deforestation, recalling what we previously mentioned, which is used for making paper. During the process, the plants will absorb less carbon dioxide in the air, so the effect of logging contributes to climate change. What can we do to save paper? Well, we can use e-books more often. Companies should offer a higher discount for people who buy e-books, as companies save both paper and ink by printing out one less copy of the book. To prevent overprinting of books, the government should set up laws that for every printed copy of books that are not sold, the printing company needs to pay a hefty fee. Next up, we should adopt the 3 R's. Let's talk about reduce. Remember the single-use utensils when you take out? You probably don't even use all the utensils inside the bag, do you? Use it this time, but you don't want to see them again. Well, I think that businesses should not automatically give out the utensil bag unless a customer requests it. To save more plastic materials, the customer should bring the utensils themselves, so they only have to pick the utensils that they need. To save the most plastic, the shop can refuse to give out single-use utensils so that customers have to buy reusable utensils themselves, say by $1. The shop should give discounts whenever a customer refuses to use the provided utensils. Now, for reuse, people on the internet have posted some creative pictures of reusing the plastic bottle caps to make a pen holder. By reusing the plastic bottle caps, people can save money on buying a real pen holder, and most importantly, help save the environment by disposing less plastic. However, this is not it. Everyone can come up with ingenious ideas to together live an eco-friendly life. I'm sure you know how to do something about recycling. However, no one even tries to recycle, as they do not get any benefits and instead they think that it is a chore to recycle stuff. However, is it really a chore? Recycling bins can be found everywhere on the streets. Why not just pour the juice out the plastic bottle instead of throwing the bottle in the trash a few blocks later? All in all, saving paper and the 3 R's are only 2 of 1,000 of small steps we can take to save the Earth. Ready to get in with? Let's work together to combat climate change. The video ends here. I hope you liked it, and thanks for watching.